I want to turn the table over now to one of the, what's the word? He's been on this path for quite some time. And so I asked Brother Siphiwe to come in and to just go a little bit more in detail as to what the right of return is and who are we?
And Sumna, greetings. Thank you, Sister Abena. I'd like to welcome and thank everyone that is attending our press conference today, especially members of government and members of media. I am going to read from my prepared statement. It's about 5 minutes long. Territories now within the jurisdiction of several member states of the African Union, stretching from Senegal to South Africa, were invaded following a declaration of total war made by Pope Nicholas V on June 18, 1452, in the Apostolic Edict known as the Dum Diversis. The Dum Diversis declaration of total war was followed up with monopoly contracts known as asientos, which were variously granted to the Catholic Church, to private merchants, as well as to Portugal, to the Genoese, to France, to England, and to the Spanish. In the United States, several colonies became combatants to the Dum Diversis War when they legalized slavery, beginning with Massachusetts in 1641, and the United States of America officially entered the Dum Diversis War after American independence in 1776. Eventually, the Dum Diversis War became known as the Transatlantic Slave Trade. Thomas Cooper, in the supplement to Mr. Cooper's letter on the slave trade, suggests that for every 100 people with African lineage and heritage who were kidnapped, trafficked, and enslaved, 1,000 were murdered in European-inspired or exacerbated warfare on the African continent, 20 were murdered on the Way of Death on the African continent and the Middle Passage, and 70 were murdered during the seasoning process, for a total of 170 million deaths during the Dum Diversis War. Between 1807 and 1819, most of the nations that held the Asiento contracts banned the transatlantic slave trade. However, the Dum Diversis War continued for 521 years and ended on September 24, 1973 at Medina de Boe, when independence was declared and the Republic of Guinea-Bissau was established. A minimum of 36,000 slave trade voyages have been documented. We, the members of the Right to Return Alliance, represent the survivors of the Dum Diversis War who were taken during the transatlantic slave trade. We are commonly known as African Descendants, and the African Union refers to us as its Historic Diaspora, comprising the 6th region of the African Union. The right to return principle was founded on natural law in ancient times and later encapsulated by Article 13 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. The Declaration states, everyone has the right to leave any country, including his own, and to return to his country. Article 15 also states that everyone has the right to a nationality and no one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his nationality nor denied the right to change his nationality. The African Descendants, recognized by the African Union as the Historic Diaspora, have a further binding claim under the Geneva Convention. Article 4, Section 1 defines prisoners of war, and Article 5 states, the present convention shall apply to the persons referred to in Article 4 from the time they fall into the power of the enemy and until their final release and repatriation. In the mid-19th century, scholars identified total war as a separate class of warfare. In a total war, the differentiation between combatants and non-combatants diminishes due to the capacity of opposing sides to consider nearly every human, including non-combatants, as resources that are used in the war effort. The Dum Diversis is a formal declaration of total war made by apostolic decree, and the asientos were formal monopolistic contracts between governments that sanctions what today constitutes war crimes. Crimes against humanity are certain acts that are purposely committed as part of a widespread and systematic policy directed against civilians in times of war or peace. They differ from war crimes because they are not isolated acts committed by individual soldiers, but are acts committed in furtherance of a state or organizational policy. The transatlantic slave trade has already been declared a crime against humanity. The Convention on the Non-Applicability of Statutory Limitations to War Crimes and Crimes Against Humanity was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 2391 on November 26, 1968, and it entered into force on November 11, 1970. Cameroon, Gambia, Ghana, Guinea, Kenya, Liberia, Libya, Nigeria, Rwanda, and Tunisia have all ratified the convention. The Right to Return Alliance calls on all member states of the African Union to ratify the convention. The year 2022 is the year that international society, especially the member states of the African Union, is held accountable for providing for the repatriation, the right to return under the Geneva Convention for all descendants of the prisoners of the Dum Diversis War and survivors of the transatlantic slave trade. Thank you.